Welcome to the New Author Podcast, a weekly podcast diary starring Jerry Evanoff and Rich Kacy. Join them weekly as they talk about writing, publishing, and marketing their books. And now, here are your hosts.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to the New Author Podcast. Today's Monday, May 12th, 2025. This is episode 310. I'm one of the hosts of this podcast, Jerry Evanoff, standing again for the second straight week. And with me, sick as a dog, is Rich Kacy. Rich, how are you?
I'm sick as a dog. And you're right. The second take two on the intro, it was not as good as first.
Yeah, I mean, I finally did a perfect intro, but I never actually hit the record button. So it's like you never putt that 5-footer the second time because you're going to make it every single time.
That's right.
So who knows? But anyway, so you're sick. What's going on? How you feeling?
Yeah, it's been a rough week. I caught a virus early last week or at the beginning of last week and just been hanging around with me. So I've done a lot of working at the library and just a lot of sleeping otherwise. And so far not infecting my wife, which is a good thing.
Well, I can tell this is going to be a very short podcast this week because I probably did just a hair more than you. It was, I rarely have, I'm going to put up air quotes and just say bad weeks. It wasn't a bad week overall. It was a bad week in terms of a word count. In fact, I made my goal so easy that I did it in half of a lunch break. I completed it. So, what can I say? Let me go ahead and jump in.
Yeah, my goal was 10,000 words. I didn't come anywhere near that. In fact, I just barely scratched the surface of it. So.
Yeah. Are you frozen?
No. Not frozen. On my end.
Oh, now we're back. God,
okay.
Computers drive me crazy sometimes. Anyway, let me jump into my stats here for the new. I'm not going to go. My goal this week, this is the good part of the podcast right here. My goal last week was to get Act 1 plotted completely, and it was successful. I literally did it in one half of a lunch break, and it's a good thing that I didn't set a word count over, I don't know, like 100, because then I would have failed. It was not a great week for me. So book 8 actually is up. It's actually the same, 3,556 words. It's actually up a couple hundred words. I just didn't think they were significant enough or good enough to add to this outline. I did work on chapter 3 a little bit more, but just didn't get very far. Actually, 2 different times I worked on chapter 3 and maybe have a couple hundred words because other things got in the way. And this is the shiny things syndrome that I'm going to talk about a lot as we get through this podcast. Of other things that came up that weren't writing related. They were more Jerry fun related. And so it's going to be an interesting conversation.
Well, we are moving into summer, so you got to have those fun weeks as well. So,
that's true.
You
that
can't
is absolutely true.
I mean, the knuckling down and doing a lot of work, that's for the dark winter days, not for the sunny summer days.
Yeah, what am I going to do on a Friday half a day? Am I going to go write somewhere? No, I'm going to go play golf for crying.
Yeah, exactly. For me, last Tuesday I had a fairly decent day. It was, but other than that, the only writing I did was on Wednesday morning. I was at the library, but we were overstaffed, which doesn't often happen. And I was exiled to the back workroom, and I didn't really have anything to do. So I did putz around on the Cozy Mystery story. I think I got right around 1,000 words or so in about an hour and a half. But I don't know where I'm at in terms of the story. It's about roughly 1,000 words more than it was last time. And so I think I'm in the high 20,000, something like that, or maybe more. But nothing we got done other than that. I was just a lot of work and a lot of sleep.
Well, okay, so let's talk about the week then for both of us. Again, this is going to be a short one. I can already tell. Tuesday, I was in the office, and I decided to go ahead on Tuesday instead of doing the writing or the plotting. I wanted to go ahead and edit chapter 2. This is the chapter that I was going to read that week at the Writers Club. So I began working on it. Felt pretty good about it after I actually made it through the entire chapter. And I thought that I had deleted a whole bunch of words as I was doing this. And then I checked my story grid and my word count. I actually added 303 words to that chapter, which was really surprising because I know I was deleting paragraph after paragraph and piece after piece that just didn't. It just seemed too much. It seemed extra. But to still come out be up 303 words was pretty surprising.
So, you must have been adding words back in, right?
Yeah, just not realizing that I was adding so many more than I was deleting.
Okay.
So, and then in the evening, I was off to the golf course. We had another week of just terrible rainy weather. Actually, it stopped. I think, raining on Tuesday. I think it was. We were cart path only, which again I've said before is one of the worst things ever because you drive up the cart path, and if your ball is on the right side and the cart path is on the left side, you have to cross the rough, then the fairway, and then for me, usually get into the other rough to hit your ball, and you end up doing more walking than if you were carrying your clubs, where you could just walk a straight line to the ball. So it was a rough night. I think I shot 56, which is the second 56 this year. The grass at the golf course, which is always in the summer, the rough is hard to hit out of it. When it's wet and thick like it is, they can't mow. It's pretty terrible. But I did get a par on the 9th hole, which was my first par in the 27 holes that I've played. 3 rounds, 9 holes each. I finally got a par on the last hole of the 3rd round, which was pretty nice. I made like a 10-foot putt to get it in there too, so I felt good about that.
Yeah.
Wednesday, I continued at lunch. I was back in the office. Wait, was I back in the? Yeah, I was back in the office. I had to go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I continued to edit chapter 2 of book 7.5 for the Writers Club. I had gone through the previous day, but this is where I wanted to go through it and kind of read it out loud to myself, which is tough in the office. Where I sit is kind of away from people, but I don't want to just sit there and be talking to myself. So it's more of a whisper to myself as I'm reading it out loud, which probably doesn't help, probably isn't as good as actually hearing the words out loud.
Well, and it's probably even worse for if anybody sees you doing it, they think you're talking to yourself.
Yeah, and that's they probably think I'm crazy anyway. But yeah. So what happened was, after I was finished, I put my my chapter into Grammarly, and I went through and kind of corrected most stuff. I ignore a lot of stuff, but I correct a lot of stuff, and then I pasted it back into the novel crafter, and it was 4,400 words. And I thought this chapter was like 2,300 words when I started. What is going on here? Well, it turns out one of my other issues, I really have 2 main issues with Grammarly, and this is one of them. The other, or not Grammarly, Novel Crafter. The first one is they desperately need a chapter listing down the left side, where I have Codex and I have the other 2 options, chat and snippet, I think it is. We need chapter listing and down the left side, so I can just click there and just easily get from chapter to chapter. Getting from chapter to chapter is a pain. It's about 3 or 4 clicks each time, and it's a pain. And I went to their section where you can suggest fixes and search, and it turns out a lot of people have suggested that, so I'm hoping they'll do it. They just had a big release on Saturday of some new stuff, new chatting and things like that. But I really need this. I really need this to be a fixed thing. The other thing is what happened to me on Wednesday, and this is when you're in your text and you're in your writing section, you hit Control A. What it does is it highlights the paragraph that you're in. Now, every single other Windows program I've ever used in my entire life, Control A selects everything. It's a select all. That's what Control A is. In this, it only selects the paragraph you're in. Then you hit Control A again, and it selects the entire thing. It's probably pretty cool if that's what you want to do.
Right.
But I don't think it's rare that I've ever thought I really just need to highlight this paragraph. I would just use the mouse and drag the mouse, click and unclick to do the paragraph. So I'm not sure what the thinking was behind that. I'd be curious to know what the programmers or the person who wrote the program, I'd be curious to know who designed it, what they were thinking behind that.
Yeah, because it's at least on my Mac, and I thought it was on the PC the same way, that a triple click selects a whole paragraph.
Oh, I don't even know that.
Yeah.
I just saw you do it in the outline.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, triple click did. Okay. So yeah, but that's a little bit different, because do it now. Hit your Apple button and A on the outline and see what it does.
You mean Control A?
Well, yeah. If you're on I don't know what you have for.
Well, actually, I'm on an iMac, but I'm using an IBM keyboard, which is
okay.
Weird. So I select the whole thing. Yeah.
It selected the whole thing, but in Novel Crafter, it only selects the paragraph. So what I did was I did it correctly when I pasted it into Grammarly, but by the time I was done, I went back to Novel Crafter. I hit Control A once, highlighted a paragraph, and then Control V. I pasted the entire chapter where that paragraph was. So it was like here's the first half of the chapter, then here's the whole chapter, then here's the second half.
Right.
The problem is I did it twice. So it was messy. It was a mess. And by the time I ended lunch, I didn't have time to fix it at lunch because it was a lot. So when I got home, the first thing I did was sit for about an hour, figure the whole thing out, copy the whole thing out of there, put it back into Grammarly, get it right, go through Grammarly again, and then paste it in there. And man, what a pain! I did not want to have to do that. And speaking of did not want to have to do that evening, it's always fun to turn down your street coming home from work and realizing that every single person in the neighborhood cut their grass that day except you, because you were at work. And that was the first day that was dry. So it's like, well, I guess I have to cut my grass first, which takes me about 15 minutes. That's not the end of the world. But yeah, I had to do that. And
that is one thing that did happen last week is my wife finally got delivered her electric lawnmower. So
oh,
I did have to help her put it together. But yeah, she's really chuffed about, and she's cut the grass once already with it and really likes it.
nice. That's
Yeah.
good. So I cut the grass, I fixed my novel, and then in the evening, I don't know if you remember this. This is getting into the Jerry fun why I didn't write section, the weekend review here. I don't know if you remember a couple weeks ago, I mentioned a video on YouTube from a site called NFL Throwback, and the title of it was 4.5 hours of guys chucking it deep, and it was basically every long pass between 2010 and 2019 in the NFL, every single one of them. And I watched it over a period of about a week and a half.
That came up on my feed. That came up on my feed too. Yeah.
Nice. Great. It's so much fun to watch. And I actually realized during that time, I thought, man, there are a lot of good wide receivers during that 10-year span.
Mhm.
I'm going to go check out a season. Maybe I'll buy a season for my APBA football game. But I'm looking at the seasons, man, the Browns stunk every year. They were 4-12, 4-12, 4-12, 3-13, 5-11. I think they were 0-16 and I think in 2018. Like they were just bad during that time. And I just kind of pushed it aside. No big deal. Well, on this Wednesday night, another video popped up from that same channel called How About 2 Hours of Long TV Runs? And it was actually 2.5 hours. And I just watched most of it in one night on this Wednesday and then the rest of it throughout the week. And it's just, I'm like, there are really good running backs during this. This is a great time for athletic players, skill players in football during this time. So I watched a lot of it and it was exciting. I was really happy. So Thursday now, I'm in the office. And the first thing I did was plot what I needed to do for Act 1. I sat at lunch. It took me about a half an hour. I really only had about a chapter and a half to plot. Got it done. Happy now that I can continue writing. But I still had some time left. And those NFL videos were still in my head. And I began looking at Pro Football Reference again and trying to figure out, I want to buy one of these seasons. I want a season with, Chris Johnson and Jamal Charles and Adrian Peterson and Andre Johnson and Calvin Johnson and Sean Jackson. I mean, there's so many good players.
Yeah.
But I didn't just want to buy it and just play it like I play all my other seasons, because I don't particularly care about those seasons like I do the ones from when I was a kid and beforehand. I always think that's where the great players were. So I kind of started thinking about this idea in my head of buying a season and creating a fake NFL, I'll call it the Ohio Football League, where I come up with 20 cities in Ohio that are small cities. You've never heard of them. And then I come up with fake teams, fake backstories, and then I have a draft, and I do this on the YouTube. But the draft can't just be me picking players. It's dice and cards. I got to get the dice involved. So I came up with this whole drafting system where players can get punished or helped. There could be trades before each round. I came up with all the cities. I was having a blast with this for about a half an hour during my lunch break at work. And by the time I was done, I was ready to start. So I ordered a season. I ordered the 2012 NFL season. That was the year that Adrian Peterson had 2,100 yards rushing. And then all the other players are still in. Peyton Manning's there, and Andrew Luck and Drew Brees, and a lot of good, fun quarterbacks to play with, wide receivers. So I'm very much excited to do this. It continues throughout the weekend of me coming up with stuff until it kind of culminates into me spending more money on stuff. And so that was Thursday. In the evening, I did go to my writer's club, and I read that chapter 2. And, we're down a couple of people right now, which kind of sucks. We're down people who actually talk, which kind of stinks. And Jake is actually really good at, in that room, giving great advice. I don't think he's coming back. I believe he's moved out to the East Coast looking for a job. And his girlfriend, Mallory, is the person who runs it. I think I talked about this last week. She's trying to find a job out there because she wants to move out there, obviously, with him. Right. And she's trying to find a very specific library job of public library, publicly funded, certain desk. She doesn't want to do certain things. And she said she's really limiting herself to 7 libraries in the United States. And she's hoping that one can come up on the East Coast so she can move. And we're like, what is going to happen to the Writers Club? She's like, I think I'm ready for actually to turn this over to you guys. And I think I would actually run it if the option came up. It's fun. I enjoy it. I'm going to miss having, they talk. Mallory and Jake both talk like crazy. They give great critiques. I'd really be sad if they were gone. And we'd have to figure out a way to get new people in there because that would take us down to just a couple. And so I think I would enjoy doing it if possible. But
That's the problem. Is finding people that will be talkative. Because like the book club I'm running now, there's like 2 or 3 people, including me, in that talk a lot, and the other ones just kind of sit there like stones.
Mm-hmm.
They may say something every now and then, or if you kind of force them to say something, but otherwise they're just there for who knows what reason.
Yeah.
But
Well, the
there.
other problem we have is that me, Michaela, and now Kim, and there's a new woman who did show up last week. I think her name was Tina or Lisa. I don't remember. She said she's going to bring stuff, but nobody really like Jake and Mallory haven't brought anything to read in years. Dan hasn't brought anything in like over a year. So really, we'll get in there, and if Kim doesn't come, it's literally just me and Michaela that read,
Mhm.
and that's it. And this 2-hour thing just drags on for a while. And I want to get more people in there that bring fiction to read that they're writing.
Right.
I don't really know what I would do about this because, my little town doesn't have a lot of people in it. It doesn't have a lot of writers. I don't know how you attract people. But I like the idea of the writers club. So, I kind of want to keep it going. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it could be that Mallory doesn't leave for another 10 years,
Right.
But,
right.
it's disappointing that it's kind of fallen to what it is now.
Right.
But again, they gave me great advice and I was pretty happy.
It could have been that Jake moved to the East Coast for a reason. So.
That's a good point. I didn't want to say it. Friday now, I'm a half a day work day. I quit working at 11 a.m. and holy cow, I was busy. This is why I get no writing done on a Friday where I take a half day. A buddy of mine came down and we went golfing at a local golf course. It was cart path fairway only, so you couldn't drive in the rough. And this course floods anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to rebuild their 7th and 8th hole because they flood they're right by a river. And it was I kept pointing out bodies of water to Jeff, where I would say, Jeff, that body of water's not supposed to be there. That one's not supposed to be there. It's like there were so many. I think I shot 92, which I'll take in the muddy conditions. It was rough. I mean, your ball plugs. If you hit it up in the air anywhere, your ball's going to come down and plug. So It was a good time. We got back to my house around 3:45, 4 o'clock, and I broke out that Star Wars Rebellion game to play. Usually takes a couple of hours. It took us 4 hours to play this game. By the time we were done, it was 8 o'clock. I went and picked up my dog. It's like 8:15 by the time I get home. I had to get up early to golf, so I really didn't stay up much later after that. So again, no writing on that day, which I kind of thought would happen anyway, but I just did not think that it would be a long day like it was with him doing those two things. So Saturday up early to golf. My regular playing partner, Dave, called me. I was in the McDonald's drive-thru at 6 a.m. on my way there, and he called me and said, I can't come. I hurt my foot yesterday. I can't get my foot into a shoe. Ooh. So I said, well, I had another 2 guys coming. So there were 3 of us. And we played. I played okay. I think I shot 93. A little higher than I want to be, but I hit the ball well. Just my short game's struggling, which my short game's usually pretty good. So I'm not too concerned about it. Came home and my eye was hurting like crazy. This is allergy time for me. May and June every year are horrible for allergies. And especially with all of them all the golf courses now being able to mow, they're all out and just everybody's cutting grass right now.
Right.
And, I was sitting there on the couch or on my computer and my eye was in so much pain. I took a pill, an allergy pill that was labeled non-drowsy. And then I went to the computer and I played around with my fake football league for maybe with ChatGPT, copying stuff back and forth into Google Documents. And after an hour, though, I was so tired and sluggish, like I had taken a full Tylenol PM. And this is about 2 o'clock. And I went to my couch, and other than leaving my couch around 4:30 to go get my dog, I never left the couch. Like I was there all day. I was just kind of sluggish. Just felt terrible, and I did nothing. I didn't play my football game. I didn't do any writing. I stayed home on purpose. I was in a plot, but I literally did nothing all day. So
sometimes those are the best days. Not when you're not feeling good, but
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I kind of wish I'd have gotten something done. I mean, I didn't have to sit there for 8 hours. I could have done something for a couple hours. But, it was kind of disappointing. But then Dave called me again around 6 that night and said, I'm not coming tomorrow. I said, well, just cancel it. Like, I'm not going to go up there and play by myself for an hour and a half. Be terrible. I'm always bad when I play by myself.
Right.
Drive an hour, get up at 5 a.m., drive an hour. I mean, it's just no point in doing it. So I went to Panera instead and began working on chapter 3. And this was the stuff that I'd plotted on Thursday. But I really did not get very far with it. Instead, I went over to a different chat in ChatGPT and started making logos and card stuff for this fake football league because, again, shiny things. And by the time there's a guy that I watch on YouTube, Dave Gardner, who plays all these different sports, and he talks about this guy Chris White, who makes custom envelopes for people. So when I get this 2012 set, it's going to have yellow envelopes that look like this, that APBA football just makes. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the envelopes I'm holding up. Well, I don't have that for my custom league. I wanted some custom ones, like with my team names on them, so I wouldn't have to like scratch out the names or just keep them in rubber bands or whatever. So I got a hold of this Chris White. I joined his Facebook group and I emailed him and said, "Can you do this for me? Here's what I want." And he came back maybe an hour later and said, "I can do that. It's gonna be a little tricky though, but he says I can make 20 of them for you. It's gonna cost you $17 with shipping." And I went, okay, go ahead. So, and he wrote back and said, "Yeah, I'll start him tonight. I'll ship him tomorrow." Okay. It's not his business, so but I would have paid him like $40 for this thing. I mean, this is nice what he's doing for me. He's coming up with I told him, he said I can come up with the logos if you want. I go, yeah, go ahead, do that extra work. I don't want to do it. It's fine. I'm not real picky about this. So that happened. And then I forgot to mention on Saturday, I did sign up. One of the things I did do before I kind of started to be sluggish is I did sign up for that story Bible I talked about last week. Is editsbytony.com. Tony's with an I. Mm-hmm. She's over in Japan, and we exchanged some emails last week where she answered some of my questions. I was really happy with her answers, especially the stuff about foreshadowing and clues. She said, "Listen, I don't know your series, but if it looks like something to me," she's like, "my brain will catch it and I'll get it into the chapter summary." I said, "Perfect. That's what I want to hear." Because I don't think anybody other than me is going to be able to catch everything.
Right.
And even then, I'm probably going to miss stuff. Right. So I did sign up for that. It was $400, which was more than I wanted to pay. But it's also something that I've been wanting for a while, and I think if I want it done the right way, I should pay for it, which is what I'm doing. So she said she can't start until June 26th, and I'll have it like July 11th is when I'll have the first one, which gives me plenty of time to go ahead and write book 8 and get going on book 9, because I'm probably going to send her book 2 a couple of months after I get book 1 if I'm happy with it.
Right.
I think I said last week that I was going to get it in a Scrivener document. I changed my mind and asked for it in a Word document for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's really easy to copy and paste from Word into anywhere else.
Right.
And number two, I'm going to keep playing around with this AI to see if I can get it to give me good answers when it looks at the Word documents that are my book. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to try to get everything in Word. I have a folder set up for that. And who knows, maybe down the road, 6 months from now, this stuff's better. Maybe it's working. Then I'll go ahead and do that. So Sunday night, played my football game a little bit, watched some sports. Didn't do much of anything after that. Went to bed pretty early and up for work today. Again, another day where I could have done some writing. Instead, at lunch, what I did was I went and started plotting the middle piece of this thing. I think I'm Rich. You and I can talk about this. Now we can talk about it right now. I think I'm gonna dump the Patreon. It's just not. It's too much work that neither of us really want to do, and I can't expect anybody to sign up for it if we're not doing anything. So
yeah, that's true.
Your thoughts? I mean,
well, it's true. Is it costing anything?
No.
Okay.
No. So maybe I'll just stop talking about it and just leave it open for whoever do this. Maybe I'll do that. Yeah. I'll just
because you never know. I mean, once your books start coming out and you hit it big, you might be able to just kind of retitle it and it'll be Jerry's Patreon.
I like your positive attitude. That's very nice. Yeah. So what I did, the reason I brought that up is because I had talked about doing the second part of my plotting for the Patreon, because I did the first one. I did post it last week. I did it and posted it. But for the second one, Saturday night, just feeling like I didn't do anything. And then Sunday, I didn't do anything. And today, I just really wanted to plot. At lunch, I really wanted to sit and do that. So about 45 minutes of plotting. My biggest problem with this book that I'm working on, this book 8, is I spend a lot of time in book 7.5 with my serial killer killing people. Like 10 people, something like 8 or 9, 10 people, something like that. Well, in book 8, I just don't want to continue that and have 10 more deaths. I think it's just overkill, literally. So like, I'm trying to figure out, what am I going to do instead? How am I going to have my serial killer still be the bad guy that Sam is hunting down? And as I put it, but I got to figure out what to do with this soggy middle, where there's really not a lot of deaths happening until the midpoint when you get a shocking one. But what do I do? So I started talking to ChatGPT about it. I asked it for a whole bunch of plot points. Most of them were pretty terrible. A couple of them I liked, so I put them on my list, and I started kind of jotting down some of my own and just trying to organize it so that I can put it together. So I'm not very far with it. I'll probably continue to work on it tomorrow at lunch. I'm looking at it right now. One thing I did talk about was because I had the book. The first 7 books are from Sam's point of view. Book 7.5 is from the serial killer's point of view. It seems to me that in book 8, I should have a couple of chapters from the serial killer's point of view, because we know all about him through the first part of it. Why shouldn't we get into his head a couple times in this story, considering he's going to not make it to book 9? So, so I decided to go ahead and do that. Now, what I want to do is I want to do it at certain points. I don't know if you have any opinions on this, but I want to just do his POV at certain points. So, like, maybe right after the first pinch point, right after the midpoint, right after the second pinch point, and maybe right at the end. Something like I want it to be in a certain areas, not just randomly throughout the story. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that or not.
Oh, that's a good question. I probably have to think about it a little bit. I mean, certainly you'd want to get it as a way to pick up the pace or pick up the interest a little bit in the soggy middle.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe in between the 2 pinch points pinch point 1 and pinch point 2 might be the best place for it.
I don't have it in the beginning. I don't have it in Act 1.
Yeah.
I don't think I need it in the final act. Because I think by the time the final act comes, the reader's going to know who did it, because there's going to be more of an action ending than a denouement Perot type ending. So, so I think maybe just, I think you're right. I think between 1 and 2, so that's like between the 33 and 67%. No, not 30, like more like between the 20 and 80.
Right.
Have it maybe 4 times, 2 on each side, something like that.
Yeah.
So that's I'm gonna continue to work on the plotting tomorrow. Probably not do any writing. And then I came home. You kind of surprised me a little bit with the, hey, I'll be ready in a few minutes. So I can actually finish the outline. I don't even think I put my schedule for next weekend. I'm not sure. But when I'm probably today when I got home, I just had some dinner, and then I'm probably gonna do nothing once we're done after I post this. I'm probably just gonna go to the couch and hang out for a while. So yeah, there you go. That was my week of non-writing, but still, having a good time, getting some stuff done. So.
Yeah. Well, doing nothing is what I specialized in last week. And also, the fact, and I was just sitting here realizing it, I worked 7 days in a row. That was another thing that really, really wore me down and kept me from probably recovering from whatever I did catch last week. But yeah, I got nothing, unfortunately, to share. It was a very slow week. Get up, go to work, come home, eat, go to sleep. it was really, really monotonous, and I could, whatever it is, maybe it's allergies, maybe it was virus, whatever it is, I just could not get enough rest, and I would wake up in the morning feeling just beat and tired. And the only good saving grace about the week is that it wasn't busy at the library. Things right in the beginning of the week it was, but then things calmed down really quick, and it was actually downright quiet and spooky a couple of times. And so yeah, sorry about that, but folks, but got nothing to share.
All right. What about your running list? Anything exciting happening there?
No.
Everything's still running.
Yeah, everything's still running. This Noom thing with the diet, I'm kind of souring on not the program itself, but on the app that they have. The thing is glitchy. It's not updating the way it should. It's not keeping track of my calories the way it should, or in all the places it should. And it's all the places that don't really matter, but that you really want to see it working right, which is when it gives you graphs and stuff like that. And color-coded bar charts and stuff like that. You want that stuff to work, but it's not. And I don't know if it's something I'm doing or if it's just a glitch in the program itself or what. I mean, it's not like this is a new thing. This thing has been around for over a decade. So I need to do a deep dive, but I just didn't feel like it during the week.
As a computer programmer for a living now since, I don't know, 26, 29 years. It's definitely user errors, because us computer programmers, we don't make mistakes.
That's right.
Definitely user error.
And the bugs are always fixed when
restart
they pop up.
It'll be fine. Yeah.
Actually, I did do that. I uninstalled it, reinstalled it, and
that's what you do first.
Yeah. Actually, what I did not try is going, I don't even know if I can, but if I can get onto my account on a computer and see what it looks like there. So yeah.
For mine, I talked about this last week, and I've pretty much settled on this for right now, and that is how I'm going to release these books. Once book 2 is out, I'll probably knock book 1 down to 99 cents. Maybe I'll wait until book 3 is out. I'm not sure about that yet. But then I'm going to do 2, 3, and 4, $3.99 a piece. Once 4 comes out, maybe I'll wait maybe I'll wait until 5 comes out and then make a box set out of 2, 3, and 4, make it 99 cents in KU. And then as 5, 6, and 7, I'll do the same thing, $3.99 each. And then when book 8 is ready to come out, I'll put 5, 6, and 7 to a box set, 99 cents. KU, I'll release 7.5, which hopefully then leads them into book 8. And then I'll sell books 8 and 9 at $4.99 each, no bundling with them. I'm still kicking around the idea of a book 4.5. I was thinking about it earlier this week, or earlier at the end of last week, on what it can be about. I don't want to force anything, but I do like the idea of having a novella at the end of book 1, at the end of box set 2, 3, 4, at the end of box set 5, 6, 7, and then maybe even at the end of 8 that takes us into 9. I haven't figured that out. I really, I don't know about you. I really like writing novellas. I don't know what it is. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I like writing a little bit on the short stuff as well. No, by the time I get to a novella length, though, I'm just rolling downhill towards a novel in terms of length.
Yeah.
Because when I write short, and I really stick to it, which I don't often do, it's usually in the 17 to 20,000. So it's really kind of a little short of a novella, or it might be a novella. I'm not sure what they consider a novella anymore.
I don't know. I usually shoot for 25,000. I always thought that was called a novella. So that's just what I've always called it.
It could be, yeah.
25,000 is 100 pages, so that's kind of what I've gone to that.
And there's a lot of those out there.
Yeah. In terms of my addicted to, I wrote into the outline a couple of days ago that I don't really think I was addicted to anything specific this week, except just being super busy. Even on the weekend when I was really super busy at doing nothing, because I didn't feel like getting off the couch. But I will say that this NFL stuff and creating my own fake league and designing these envelopes and then sending them off to the guy for him to kind of put them on there for me and ship them to me, and I have a whole draft system set up where when it's a team's turn, if I roll an 11 or a 66 with my fancy APBA dice here, my red and white die, 11, that means you automatically move to the front of the round, and I'll roll 2 20-sided die right here.
Oh yeah.
And if it's a 3 and a 7, then I swap their order in the draft for that round. Like really, and I'll call it a trade. We'll call it a pre-draft trade or whatever. So I'm really excited about it. So that's probably what I would call addicted to more than anything. Although that didn't really start until Thursday.
Yeah. For me, it's still been the ice cream, even though it's not down here in the outline. In fact, earlier last week, we'd run out of the ice cream that we had, and my wife looked at me and said, we've been eating a lot of ice cream. Do you think I shouldn't buy it? And I just looked at her. I didn't even say anything. She goes, okay, I'm putting it on the list.
Buy 2.
Yeah, buy 2.
Yeah. In terms of my week next week, I did update the outline. Good. It's a pretty normal week this week. I was in the office today, and then tomorrow I'll be in the office. Again, I didn't do much writing last week. In fact, I did very little. I should get back to it this week. So actually, now that I say this, I'm not sure what I'm going to do tomorrow. I may finish chapter 3 and 4 before I get on to plotting that soggy middle. We'll see. I'm not sure yet. Wednesday, I'll be working from home. We'll see about the library. I just don't know. Thursday, I'm back in the office. I'll write at lunch, and I should be able to get 1,000 words if I continue doing that. Friday, it's a full day work week for the first time in a couple of weeks, or full day work day for the first time in a couple of weeks. I'm working from home. I'm really not sure if there'll be any writing on this day, because Fridays, I generally don't write on Fridays unless I take a half a day. And then Saturday, I have to work Saturday. I got the meeting invite today. I have to work at 8 a.m., and it's scheduled to go until 12:30. I don't believe it's going to go that long. They said 2 to 3 hours. So unless we have major problems, which we're doing a pretty big update. So there could be issues, but the plan is to just work until we're done and then go somewhere and have some lunch and work on the book, run my errands. My new set of cards should be here by then. So I'll probably record a video in the evening of me, running through this fake league and doing part of my draft and having a little fun with it. Sunday, I will golf in the morning. We do have a tea time already, and then I'll get groceries, and I'm home like normal. I'll play some football, watch some. You know what? I think the U.S. Open for golf is this week. It's a major, so I'll definitely have that on, watching that throughout the last few days. Doing it so that's Sunday, and then Monday I'm back in the office, and I'll write at lunch. My goal this week, I put on there 6,000 words, but that's assuming I'm going to write Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We'll just leave that goal on there and we'll just see what happens. So 6,000 words.
Just be sure on that update that you're doing on Saturday that graphs work when you get it all done.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, no, that was the last thing I did. There were charts and graphs in the last thing I did. They did
Was
work. This time I
okay.
don't,
Okay.
sadly.
Well, my work week is going to be short. I'm working Tuesday through Thursday, and then I have Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. So in the next few days, assuming I am actually going to feel a little bit better tomorrow, I'll try to get some writing done during the day at my lunch hour or any breaks that I'm given at the library. We do have high school finals coming up, and when that happens, we tend to get overrun by hormonal teenagers that just kind of, you got to watch them. They just run amok if you're
Oh
not
my God,
careful.
you're writing a sci-fi book right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, actually, there might be a book in there someplace about that.
Yeah.
So I'll do that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. On Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they're not predicting any rain. There's always gardening stuff to do. But to be honest with you, the gardening is starting to get a little bit old. I've been doing a lot of it this spring, and I'm kind of at that point where I don't really want to do a whole lot. Although now my wife has really gotten into it, and she wants to do all this hardscaping and stuff out there. In fact, she's thinking about or talking about me putting in gravel pathways all around the yard. And
I like that her excitement is about you doing stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I'm in the IT department, and when I worked at my previous job, we used to find out that other departments would put on their goal list for programs to get written. And it was like, wait, you're putting on your goal list for me to do something?
Exactly.
That's strange.
Exactly. Well, but it's not strange when you're married. That's just what happens.
Oh, okay. So, I wouldn't know that. Okay.
So I think what I'm going to do is I may just copy you here, and I'll just set a goal of 6,000 words. Hopefully I can get back into the writing, which I didn't do last week. Get back into it because I'm enjoying the story that I'm writing right now, so there's no reason to not get back into it. And we'll shoot for 6,000 words and see what happens. I'm really hoping that next weekend when I have off, I don't spend all the time outdoors in the garden. I can get inside and do some things, but we'll have to see how that goes.
We'll see how the sickness continues. Yeah. Maybe it'll escalate right around Thursday night.
Yeah, well, that's true. That might happen. Good point. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. All right. Anything to share?
No, not that I can think of right offhand.
Me either. So that's going to be it for the podcast. A little bit of a short one because Rich and I really didn't do much last week. But next week, I think we'll be better than we were this week. So if you want to get in touch with me, again, Jerry at jerryevanoff.com is the email. jerryevanoff.com is the website. We're on YouTube and we're on all your favorite podcasting apps. Again, we have the Patreon. I'm probably going to stop talking about it after this week because we really don't do a lot on there. But someday we will.
And it just occurred to me, given your reference earlier in the podcast, that we could retitle this podcast as a podcast about doing nothing.
Yeah, podcast about nothing. Yeah, let's sign on that. I like it.
And we can do it for 40 minutes, which is roughly what we've done.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Yeah, if you want to talk to me, my email address is rich@richkacy.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky at Kacy himself. Oh, I should have mentioned this. I did pick up a slew, like maybe 100 more followers.
Wow.
On Blue Sky. I haven't really looked closely at them. I suspect a good chunk of that are bots. Okay. When they come in that hot and heavy, it's usually the bots that found you and they start dumping on you.
Let me ask you this. What exactly is a bot on Blue Sky?
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know how they would define it because I don't see any obvious, because of the way I have my stuff muted, I don't see any obvious, disinformation or political stuff or any of that kind of stuff. But I do see a lot of accounts coming in that are filled with nothing but reposting. There's just no original posts on it. And I don't know what the end game for these people is.
That's my question: is who's doing this and why?
Yeah, I have no idea what the end game is. That'd be something to try to look up. But generally, what I do when I do try to do my scans or my my vetting processes, I go through and I look and I see, within the last couple of weeks, does this person have any original posts or not, or are they just constantly? I know some people just like to repost. They find stuff, they like it, they repost it. But yeah, and I don't know. Good, if you figure it out, let me know, because I've always wondered that myself.
The only thing that I can think of is if they're on your feed long enough, maybe they post a link to something that you can download that infects your computer.
Yeah.
You don't think about it, you just click it. But other than that, I cannot think of what could possibly be that end game. Just giving you a whole bunch of people that aren't legit. And especially when they're not going to post anything, what's the point? I don't get it. But,
Right.
so, all
Well,
right.
they're reposting stuff, but who knows? I don't look at it carefully. I just look to see if it's a repost. I don't know what it is they're reposting. It could be these Russian bot farms or whatever. They're just reposting each other's stuff back and forth with information that they want you to see.
Right.
So.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for everyone. So thanks for listening, and we will be back next week, longer and more informative, and hopefully more entertaining than we were this week.
Right. More caffeinated too.
There
So
you go.
yeah, take care. Have a good week.